Hello music people. In this video, I'm going to show you as a keyboardist how to properly set up and use a sustain pedal such as this one. The first thing I'm going to say is that it's best to plug in your sustain pedal when the keyboard is off. There's some keyboards where if you plug the sustain pedal in after it's turned on, it will work in the opposite way that you're wanting it to. And I'll show you what that is in a minute. Also, some strange things sometimes happen if the keyboard is on and you unplug the sustain pedal and plug it back in. So sometimes if that happens, you've got to turn the power off on the keyboard, plug the pedal in, and turn the keyboard on again. So right now I have this keyboard off. This pedal is not plugged in right now. And the most important thing that you'll want to do is to make sure that you actually plug it into the proper input. And you'll know which one to plug it into if you simply read the labels on each of the inputs. Different keyboards and different keyboard brands will label things differently. Sometimes they'll label it sustain, sometimes they'll label it damper. And in this case, Roland kind of has a weird way of labeling it. They're labeling it as hold. So you have to plug it in to the input that's labeled hold. That's just what they do. So I'll plug it into hold. I'll turn on the keyboard. I'll wait for it to boot up for a moment. And then we can test it out. It's actually a good thing to do when you first sit down on a keyboard, especially if you weren't the one who set it up, before you start playing your set, to make sure that that the sustain pedal is working and it's working in the way that you want. So let's see. Okay, so it's working correctly. Now, have you ever had an experience where the pedal actually works in reverse? That's exactly the opposite of what you want it to do. You want it to sustain when you're pushing down and to not sustain when you're not pushing it. Here, it's sustaining and it only stops when I push the pedal down. There could be a few different reasons for that, but the most common reason is, especially if you're using sort of a universal sustain pedal like this one, there's often almost always a switch on the back that you might have to just turn. Just because there's half the keyboards out there are kind of configured one way, the other half of the keyboards in the world are configured literally the opposite way. So you just have to turn the switch and it'll reverse it for you. So now it's fine. See? All right, cool. Now, what happens if you accidentally plug in the sustain pedal into the wrong input? Something like this could happen. I'm gonna plug it into the input labeled control 1. Okay. No sound. Uh-oh. What's going on? Oh, there's only sound when I press it. You know why that is? Because on this particular keyboard, control 1 is devoted to volume control. But because this isn't a continuous control pedal, it's either off or on. So you've plugged it into the wrong one and it messes up the whole keyboard for somebody. So you'll want to do this. Okay, now another thing I want to talk about. What if you have a pedal that does not have a switch on the back of it and is doing that? It's the reverse of what you want. Well, it could just be that that pedal is not compatible with the keyboard and you have to try to find a different one. However, if that's not an option, there might be another option that you could try. So if you've got a keyboard situation where you've plugged in the sustain pedal and there's no switch, or you've tried switching the switch and it's not happening, you've tried turning the keyboard on and off again, and you still have this problem where it's sustaining notes and only stopping when you push the pedal down, that means that the polarity is reversed. And on a lot of keyboards, there's a way to actually go into the system settings and reverse the polarity if you have to. You should try everything else first, including trying to find a different sustain pedal that works properly. But as a last resort, you might have to kind of press some buttons and click around and scroll through some menus to try to find a solution if you're in a real pinch. So on this keyboard, I'll show you. You can press the menu button, move over to where it says system, and then you can scroll over to where it says pedal, and you can see that there's different ways that you can adjust what control pedals 1 and 2 do. And then it has the hold pedal here, which is the way that this keyboard labels like a sustain or a damper pedal. You can see hold pedal polarity. It's standard right now. And the keys are sustaining when they shouldn't be. And so I can actually switch it so that it says reverse. On this particular keyboard, even after I do that, it's still doing the same thing. But if I go and do system right, then it'll come into effect. And then I just had to press the pedal down to kind of reverse it because it's sending MIDI signals. So that's how I was able to fix it in a pinch on this keyboard. Every keyboard is different that way though. But again, likely the best way and most reasonable and obvious way to fix it is to just flick a switch, turn the keyboard off and on again, or find a different damper pedal to use. Alrighty, hope this helps. All the best.